Hello, everybody. I am Aiden Seraphim.
And I am Jonathan Fisher. And welcome to the show. Show number 1, the intro show, right?
Exactly.
So we're going to set everything up. We're going to talk about ourselves. So get things off our chest. You'll get to know who we are and why we're doing this. A little bit how this show works. But first, let's find out about you. Tell us, what is your background?
So I am Aiden Seraphim.
Yep.
I am a licensed acupuncturist, and I studied classical Chinese medicine at the National University of Natural Medicine in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, okay.
And what is important about classical Chinese medicine is that it really focuses on the root and the energetic foundation of Chinese medicine according to the ancient classic texts.
Wow.
And I really wanted to do that because I have believed in and experienced for a very long time the primary energetic foundation of everything. And so
Wow. We will hear more about that at some point because that's too big to not talk about.
Right. And so this was really important to have that spiritual component to the medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine basically, has over time become more and more westernized in the sense that it is more focused on specific protocols that have been developed to treat specific conditions. This can be really helpful, actually, when we're talking about research and replicability of results or outcomes. But it really loses a little piece of the heart of the medicine because the heart of Chinese medicine really focuses on each individual as unique. And the reality that all of us have completely different backgrounds, experiences, emotional temperaments, environments in which we grew up in,
Right.
Diets that we have had our whole life, just all of these different factors that go into creating whatever type of imbalance or disharmony that we have in our body currently. And so we have to look at each person and all of those unique contributing factors as really important in our treatment approach. So that's what I really love about not only Chinese medicine, but classical Chinese medicine.
Very good. So acupuncture. So what specifically are you doing in your practice?
So I also have been a practitioner of meditation for over 10 years now.
Great.
And that's a huge part of what I do in my practice. So like I said, the most important thing for me is to get to the root of what is causing somebody to not feel well.
Right.
Right? Because, the reality is that at the root of it, all of us just want to feel good.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And so many of us don't. And there are reasons for that. So acupuncture is a really powerful tool that can help bring somebody's body back into balance or realignment. It can help clean up some of the damage, get the qi and blood and all of that stuff circulating through the meridians and all of that. So it's really powerful as a tool to do that. However, if it's only used for that, it's just a temporary Band-Aid. So my philosophy and what I do here in my practice is that the most important thing is to change a person's thoughts, beliefs, help them identify the maybe emotional blockages that they have. And then also on top of that, really primary and fundamental that I work with every person is on like making sure, do you have adequate water?
Right.
Are you getting good nutrition?
Right.
Are you getting not only enough sleep, but good quality sleep?
Putting them in the best position to actually have their body do what it's designed to do.
Right, because these are the factors that are contributing to, and everybody's different,
Right.
So it might be for somebody that they never move their body, right? So they have a lot of stagnation that's built up
Right.
in their system because they just basically maybe sit on the couch all day and watch
Right.
TV. Right? So that's what somebody might be doing, and so I can help them slowly begin to change that behavior over time so that with acupuncture and starting to move their body and other things, then basically they'll fix from the root all the way up to the branches and return to a
look
state
at that.
where they can be happy and healthy and feel well all the time
Yep.
and be empowered and not need to come back and see me.
There you go, right? Till they don't even need us anymore.
Right.
So my background is, first of all, I have a degree in psychology. But like most people, so hypnotherapy, hypnosis, that's the background. But like most people, my first exposure to that, other than in movies and TV and stuff, was graduation night in high school. They had the hypnotist, stage hypnotist come in and hypnotized people I actually knew and had them do the funny things or whatever. And I talked to them after and like, was that really real? And what was happening? And it was fun, it was entertaining, but it was in college when I studied psychology, where one of my professors, he also had a practice where he saw private clients. So we learned about the unconscious, we learned about Freudian stuff and the power of the unconscious mind. And then he took one of the students, brought her in front of the class, and hypnotized her. Like he would do with one of his clients. And I got to see therapeutic hypnosis at the very beginning of my psychology degree. It was one of the first classes I took. Wow. So I got to see the stage, a couple of years prior. Then I saw this and learned about it, especially with follow-up classes building upon that foundation. So that was great, and I got my degree, and I went on to other things. But about 10 years later, like 2003, I found this school in California here, the only nationally accredited school for hypnotherapy. I'm like, I'm going to go check that out. So I went up there, and it was a year-long program, and I just thought it was fantastic what they were teaching. And I went through the program. I eventually took other classes outside of it in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Think like Tony Robbins stuff. So I went through.
I love Tony Robbins, by the way.
Well, I technically might have more training than he does. I'm just saying. And so I got the master practitioner in that. Then I went on, I did the trainer's training. And I kind of combined the two. I did some imagery training as well. So I kind of combine everything. And I'm still obviously learning. But since like 2004, I've been seeing clients on and off. And I just love to show clients themselves. So like when I was told, I guess I was taught that, you'll be attracting, first of all, you'll attract clients that are dealing with things that you're kind of working on. I'm like, well, that sounds like garbage. I don't believe it, whatever. But it turned out, I saw people for quitting smoking and weight loss, and clearly I still do that. But I saw a lot of clients where they're coming in, they're saying things like, oh yeah, my life is going well, and I love my wife or husband, or love my job, or whatever it was, but I just wish that there was more to life. I'm like, yeah.
Me too.
Like everybody, like, you should ask for more so that we would work on these other things. And it turns out that all these other areas of their life would improve in ways that they didn't even know it could improve. It's like, yeah, you can still stay with that person you're in love with, but maybe that blossoms. You can still stay in that job. You can get a new one if you want, but you can stay there. But maybe that becomes bigger, or you advance in that job or create more in it. So I kind of loved revealing themselves to themselves, because when I'm working with a client in my practice, I used to go by hypnotherapist, but I'm like, I'm not a therapist. I'm a hypnotist who works on things. So I came up with hypno coach, because I like to say that in my practice, I don't formally use hypnosis every session. And then some people they'll be like, so do you informally use it? Like, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Watch out.
There are many conversations where it seems like we're just talking in this session. And then it's like, because I've done that initial hypnosis session, I know their suggestibility, and I've hypnotized them so they're suggestible to my voice, the process, I know how to phrase my words specifically for that client in the way that he or she needs to hear it, so that they don't even know that I'm giving unconscious suggestions to work on the things they want to work on. They'll just sort of make these changes. But I was told, like, oh, they'll come in for these issues, and I still see people, but they'll come in for all these other issues I couldn't have imagined. And I'll give those hypnotic suggestions, again, formally or informally, and I always give something else, in that I give the suggestion of, or allow your unconscious mind to come up with an even better suggestion. because that's what I feel like I'm doing. Whether it's the formal hypnosis or the informal conversation, I feel I'm talking to that deeper part. I would call it their higher self or their core self, but that part of themselves that knows the answer. Whatever they're coming in for, whatever the symptom is, because I used to think it's about weight loss or it's about quitting smoking, and it's sort of about that, but it's really this other thing. I feel they're out of alignment with themselves. And I get to show them themselves.
I love that you say that, because what we do is so similar.
Yeah.
You know, and it just is a different approach
right.
to doing the same thing. Because
it is.
I agree with you. Like, for me, healing is all about helping people remember who they really are.
Yep.
Right? And letting go of all of the other stuff that is not who they are.
Right. It's a reminding.
Right.
And it's a constant reminder of who they are and the resources that they didn't even realize they have. Mm-hmm. Plus allowing them to open up to resources that they maybe literally don't have, but can be open to and access a lot easier than they think.
Right.
So anyway, that's a little bit about my background. We're going to talk more about that.
Definitely.
But that's kind of what we're bringing. And the idea is we're going to have this show we're going to talk about in a second, how we're going to bring our woo-woo backgrounds, the alternative approach backgrounds that we've learned, that we've become experts on, that we're using with our clients, and talk about things. So in this kind of loose discussion format, let's talk about the show.
Also, I think the most important thing about the show to me that I want to offer is to sort of look at and explore the duality and the polarities that have been set up in our culture, especially right now in the current political climate where everything is just so polarized that we can't even have a conversation really with one another anymore. To really like look at this concept of East and West, you know, as far as health and medicine and wellness goes, and recognize that there are strengths and good things in both, and to explore how can we work together to create the best outcomes for ourselves and for others, you know, and how can we the most important thing I think first before we do anything else is how can we have a conversation from the heart with one another, because now we're not speaking from that place.
Well, and what is your company's name? What is your practice's name?
Well, interesting that you should ask.
Yeah, we're going somewhere with this.
My practice's name is Heart-Centered Transformational Wellness, because as from a Chinese medicine, a classical Chinese medicine perspective, all healing comes and starts from the heart.
I love that, because my business is called Mythic Heart.
Oh my gosh.
Ironically, and then we met, and clearly we didn't name our businesses.
So we were on a very similar path.
Interesting.
That intersected.
Right, and I'll probably talk a little bit about why I chose Heart and Mythic Heart, but yeah, so we have that in common as well.
Right.
And I've often told my clients that I like to be their bridge between what I call Western and woo-woo. So again, I'll talk about later in my why I'm doing this and how I feel that I bridge Western ideas, whether it's Western science or Western allopathic medicine, and the woo-woo of what I'm doing and what we're doing, woo-woo being things that have been around way longer than Western science, Western medicine, but we call it New Age, which
woo-woo
is
meaning that you
opposite.
Can't scientifically measure it.
It's more difficult in some ways. There are studies, and we'll talk about that.
Right.
That'll be part of what we're doing. And let's talk about the show. So that's the format is bridging East and West, bridging Western, as I would say, Western and woo-woo, saying that they're all valid. They're all healing practices. They're all ways of getting over dis-ease, is how I would like to phrase it. And they can all be spiritual. Right. I've certainly experienced that. And there's no bad choice. So why not look at both? So if you're only Western medicine, maybe be more open to alternative things. And if you're only alternative, don't rule out Western stuff, especially for acute care, and we'll get into all that stuff. But the format of the show, as you can see, is kind of loose. We're going to talk. We're going to be sort of off the cuff. We literally have a board down here with bullet points that we can look at. So if we're looking down, we may be looking at bullet points of make sure we cover everything. So it's health-related topics, usually. Sometimes maybe a little spurious. Maybe it's healthy-ish related topics.
Right.
But mostly health-related.
Well, basically, everything contributes
I would think so as well.
to our health, right?
Right.
So it's holistic. That's the whole thing about
Right.
holistic, is us as whole human beings, spiritual
Exactly.
human beings.
I wrote down that we're playing with our cards face up. What does that mean? Like if you're playing a game, you see what the hand is. You see the cards. There's no tricks going on. So if this show is going to be 20 minutes, we're going to shoot for about 20 minutes. Not a lot of editing. So are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Will we wonder, like, oh, I should have said, yep, we're going to say that a lot.
Well, that being said, we have
Yeah.
about 5 minutes to describe our why.
Yeah. Well, okay, so make sure we're getting everything. So we're going to basically talk about a topic, give information, discuss it, give our opinions on the topic. If we interview someone, like you were saying, we have live in this time that's black and white. We want to focus on them. So we might ask pointed questions, but we're not going to bash people. So if we have a Western, let's say medical doctor, maybe we disagree with him or her. We're not, our job isn't to like bash, pound them down, but we'll ask pointed questions. But it's about them and finding out what they do and how you, the viewer, or we, can utilize what they do and what their expertise is, because they do have expertise. But
Right.
we
And
want to have that balance.
in my experience, when I've been able to listen with an open heart, even
Right.
to things that I disagree with,
Yes.
always, every single time, there's something about my perspective that shifts just a little bit.
Yep. And if not in the moment, as if you will have that
Right,
allowing,
exactly.
it's like allow it to sink in, and then you were more open to maybe reading things about it or just taking that other point of view, because this is an individual that wants to heal people
Right.
in their modality. You know, how much different is that than what we're doing? So we'll talk about things, give our opinions, and we always want to end it with some sort of takeaway. So some sort of call to action for you, like hopefully you've learned something that you'll apply, but here's things that you can do, and we'll say like, take action on this. You can take maybe these examples and how to put them into effect. And what? It's your show, so
You get to ask us to speak on topics
Yeah.
that are relevant and interesting, or if we've touched on a topic that you're like, oh, I want to know more, please go deeper into that, then please leave a comment and let us know, and we will design the next show or a show closely in the future that will delve into that topic.
love it. Okay, so our whys. Do you
Our
want to go first, or
whys.
am I going first?
Why don't you go first?
So the why. Well, first of all, it would be tempting, and you might even think you know what my why is going to be, but you do not know.
I don't know.
You don't know, because it's not exactly what you think. First of all, normally you would think people who know me would think my why is what I call my list, and it's health issues. So these are things to put out there that maybe you'll have questions on, you want to hear more about. But I've had heart surgery, open heart surgery, brain surgery to repair an aneurysm, a stroke, like a full stroke, not a TIA, if you know what that is, transient ischemic attack. I have a heart rhythm issues. I had endocarditis, which is the least sexy of all of them, was probably the most dangerous.
Right.
It was an inner heart infection. So I think I listed everything, but all of those things. And what I learned from those things is one reason why I'm wearing this Popeye shirt today, why I'm all dressed up fancy with my Popeye shirt. There's a little story. When I was going to Sunday school as a little boy, they went around the class and they were sort of prompting everyone. So like, you know, Sally, or nobody's name was Sally back then, but whatever. Sally, is Jesus in your heart? And yeah. And no, Bobby, is Jesus. And then finally, so Jonathan, is Jesus in your heart? And as the story goes, I look, I go, yes. I'm thinking about it. I go, then my face brightens up. I go, and Popeye too.
I love it.
So
That's awesome.
where I'm going with that is Popeye. Like I knew, like okay, I guess Jesus, and I went there, and well, that was my belief system. But Popeye, I knew was in there because he inspired me. I didn't realize that I was taking mindset things, hypnosis ideas, beliefs in things in characters like Popeye, or when I had the heart infection, I was 6, and it was the $6 million man, where we have the technology, we can make him stronger and faster, we can rebuild him. That's what I was thinking in the hospital. So I was using these heroes throughout my life to not just be well enough to get out of the hospital, but be stronger and faster like the $6 million man. Or eat my spinach out of the can, which I did do sometimes. And my first analogy example of how you can eat something or take an action, whether it's eating or exercise, and get stronger, get healthier, was spinach from a can. Now, don't eat spinach from a can because that's gross. Don't do that. No. But that was my first thought of taking action leads to gigantic forearms, I guess, or whatever. But that was my first foray into that. And the magic that I learned from those health issues. But the real why, other than that, and it was to help people because I've been through a lot of health issues. One of the whys is when I was growing up, my mom actually took care of a neighbor lady who had MS. And because I wasn't either in school or preschool or whatever, sometimes I'd go along. And I would watch my mom take care of this woman year after year. And I saw the progression of her MS. And sometimes they'd go to the acupuncturist. Or my mom would help her do therapy at home. And I got to see how to work with a human being on every level, where you can be professional when you need to be professional. You can be a friend when you need a friend. I saw my mom help this woman get on the toilet, and they both fall off onto the floor and laugh. Because what else are you going to do? And I saw them cry sometimes. And I saw them make fun of MS sometimes. So I saw the whole range of how to work with a human being at that heart level. That deep connection, I'm like, yeah, that's what you do. That's what it's about. And that's what I do with any client is connect on that level. And I'm sure you would probably agree, that's the joy that we have is unlike a doctor, a Western medical doctor who's like, I guess, average of 6 minutes, we can spend more time.
Right.
We can get to know them and we can have that connection, that heart connection, that soul connection, if you want to put it that way. And really that's my why, is taking what I learned as I was 5 or 6, 7 years old, as I learned from my mom working with another human being, that you can have that soul, spiritual, loving connection and be professional and have fun and see change. You can take that and I combine it with what I call looking beyond the door of the near-death issues that I've had with my health issues, where the privilege of that with the gift my mom gave me with working with humans. So that's my why, is the pairing of those two.
Beautiful.
And Popeye is in my heart to this day, I guess because of that. So that's my why.
That's amazing. I love it.
You wouldn't have thought that, maybe.
I never knew.
No.
I never knew.
Yep. So what's your why, Aiden?
Oh, wow. So my why is, and I actually feel like I'm quite, how would I say? I have been quite blessed because life gave me a whole bunch of circumstances really early on that were extremely traumatic and difficult to deal with. And so it forced me to start this process of trying to heal myself. You know, I had no other choice, because if I hadn't started that process, I would be dead, like my mother and like my brother. I would have died of drug addiction or some sort of unsafe environment or situation. And so I feel very fortunate that I experienced a lot of heartbreak and trauma and
Right.
Difficulty. And so really what spurred me to get into acupuncture was I was starting to become a therapist, a psychologist. I was
Really?
studying psychology.
I did not know that.
I know.
Wow, learning things.
And I had actually been in talk therapy for most of my life up until that point. And so, I had seen some of the benefits of it, but I was working with homeless youth in Portland, Oregon. And I just noticed that there was a limitation there. These kids were dealing with really deep trauma and addiction, and compounding mental health challenges. And I had acupuncture for the first time myself because I was trying to quit smoking. And I thought I was like, sure, I'll try this.
Right.
I went in there. I wasn't expecting it to change my life forever.
Right.
But as I had mentioned, I had done all of these different healing modalities, and they all had done a little bit to help me. but nothing had made like the profound shift that I was looking for. And so that first visit, I remember two things. The acupuncturist put a needle in me, and there was a flash of light that went through the room.
Really?
And he was like, "Oh my God, you have more chi than anybody that I have ever seen in my 30 years of working."
Did you know what chi was?
No.
Yeah, you're like,
I was like,
oh, right.
What are you talking about?
That's
okay,
good.
cool.
Yay.
But then, like, there was something that happened that I can't really put into words, but there was like this this shift of like this blanket that had been over me my whole entire life, that even though like I had made so much progress, like I had, gone to school, gotten my bachelor's degree in psychology,
Nice. I can relate to that.
Was working with homeless youth, trying to make a difference and be a positive contributor to people. I was still walking around like kind of not fully myself, like in a haze, and lots of anxiety and all of that. And it was crazy. That one acupuncture appointment, all these puzzle pieces came together like this. Something like, it's like, like when you put together a lock and then you like do the right code or something, and then all of a sudden it opens.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
And so then I was like, I have to learn how to do this, like I'm not going to go back to school to get my master's degree in psychology. I'm going to go back to school and figure out how to become an acupuncturist, because I want to be able to help people have this experience.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, that's a simplified version. I think as we go along, there'll be more that's added to it. But really, I am starting to realize that it is all of our experience, like the pain and the really ugly stuff that we want to like get away from, and that I've spent my whole life wanting to like be free from. I've been like, when am I ever going to be free from all of this pain and darkness, and then like really recently I've just realized that actually I don't want to be free from that any longer. Like that is my gift.
Exactly.
All of those experiences, all of the things that I have experienced and gone through are my gift. And it's about integration. It's about bringing together, both like this wisdom that I've accumulated over the years, and also the parts of me that are still messy and broken and seeking to be seen and acknowledged and healed, right?
And that's the same for you, that's who we're talking to. So, luckily we have many episodes where you can get to know us. We'll talk more about certain stories, different layers of the onion, and everything that we're saying, clearly all of that applies to you as well, is finding where your wounds are, finding the what I call like, it's like your hero, it's your superpower, is usually the thing that you think is your greatest weakness is often your greatest strength. So learning to manage it sometimes if it's painful, but also move through it and take the learnings from it, take the gifts from it, like clearly I believe from my health issues. So that's what we're going to be doing. So this episode went a little longer, but hey, it's freeform. It'll be like 20 minutes, a little over 20 minutes is what we're shooting for. A little longer this time, but it's an intro. So comment on here, things you liked, things you want us to talk about. Like, hey, I love when you talk about this. Could you do an episode on this or on that, or interview this type of person or that kind of practitioner or specific people? We could try,
Yes.
We could ask them. Maybe they'll come on. But we want it to be about you and giving you the information so that you can see how amazing you are. And I think that's what it seems like, that's what we're doing, is helping people to learn how amazing they are and the gifts that they have.
Imagine if everybody in the world woke up to how amazing they were.
Oh.
And then we were able to look around and see one another and see how amazing you are.
Right.
Right?
Oh. Yeah. Well, that's the whole, like, when people do this, it's they're recognizing the God in the other person. Which, if we were all to do that, that would be a much different place, I think.
And the thing is that it's already happening. Like, there is a huge paradigm shift that is already happening, and more people are waking up to this. And so I just want to be a facilitator, a support, a guide, a fellow traveler with all of you.
And that's the aim of the show, is to bridge those two and give people the resources. And
Awesome.
Very good. So I think we covered everything. Give us feedback so we can create more shows. But show number 1.
All right. Until next time.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.